I found her crypto wallet by accident. It wasn't like I was snooping. She'd left her old laptop open on the dining table, halfway through a system update. I went to close it, and there it was. A cold wallet app. Installed. Active. That alone stopped me. We never talked about crypto. Never once. If you asked her what a gas fee was, she'd probably say, "A charge at the pump." Out of curiosity, I clicked. No password prompt. It just opened. And staring me right in the face, a wallet holding 14.8 BTC. I blinked. Then blinked again. At the time, that was just under $1 million. No labels. No explanations. Just recent transactions. Incoming. Outgoing. Not small either. Fractions of Bitcoin shuffled around every few weeks. One of the recent transfers had gone out just days ago. My hands felt cold on the keyboard. I just sat there, staring at it, trying to connect the woman I married to the person who set this up. That evening, she came home smiling. We had dinner. She talked about her manager's bad jokes. We watched a crime doc on Netflix. She snuggled up next to me on the couch like always. I kept up my part, smiled when I needed to, nodded in the right places. But that whole time, all I could see was that wallet, that seven-figure secret, and the question that wrapped around everything. Why didn't she ever tell me? Next morning, I played it cool. She was sipping coffee, scrolling her phone, when I said, "Hey, I opened your old laptop yesterday. That thing still running?" She looked up, casual. "Oh, yeah. I think I used it a few months ago for some crypto stuff. My uncle left me some Bitcoin years ago. I was moving it." She said it so flat, so practiced. I nodded slowly. "Cool. That's smart. You're sitting on a gold mine." She smiled. "Guess I got lucky." Then she kissed my cheek, grabbed her purse, and headed out the door. The second it clicked shut, I felt it in my gut. She was lying. And whatever that wallet was, it wasn't a gift from Uncle Bob. I couldn't let it go. All day at work, I kept seeing that number, 14.8 BTC, floating behind every spreadsheet I touched. I'd look at charts, client reports, team emails, but my brain kept looping one word. Why? Why didn't she tell me? Why keep that kind of money secret? And if it was hers alone, why were there fresh transfers? That night, after she fell asleep, I got out of bed, grabbed the old laptop from the hall closet, and set it on the dining table. The screen lit up like a ghost. Same wallet, still unlocked. I started digging. She'd moved small chunks over the last few months. Not huge amounts, just careful, methodical slices, 0.25 here, 0.4 there. Most went to random wallets. But one address kept popping up. Over and over again. I copied it, traced it through block explorers. It was tied to a verified user on a mid-sized exchange called Coinvance. That platform had optional public usernames for internal transfers. The recipient? Mike112. Something about the name just clicked. I went to her LinkedIn. Scrolled down to her current startup, a fintech consulting firm she joined about a year ago. There he was. Mike Carpenter, Senior Product Engineer. Broad grin. Startup hoodie. Generic tech dude haircut. Apparently they worked together. Closely. I felt my jaw clench. The next morning, I played it cool again. "How's Mike doing?" I asked over breakfast. She didn't even flinch. "Mike who?" "Your coworker. Product engineer?" "Oh, him," she said, like I was asking about a guy who refills the printer. "Yeah, he's around." That was all she gave me. No explanation for the wallet. No mention of how much she was sending him. No hint of guilt. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I smiled, cleared my plate, and told her I had a meeting. Instead, I went straight to a quiet coffee shop with my laptop and started tracing every transaction she'd ever made from that wallet. It took hours. My coffee went cold twice. But I found it. In the metadata of one transfer, buried in hex inside an obscure format used by smart contract-enabled BTC wrappers, there was a short string of text. Final convert Friday. Leave Monday. At first, I thought it was some auto-generated tag. But the more I dug, the clearer it became. This was part of a conversation. Not on Telegram. Not email. Not even Signal. They were using the blockchain itself to pass messages. I found more. Pieces of code in wrap tokens, embedded in swap comments, disguised as test notes. USDT safer now. Singapore route better. No delays. Your passport scanned? Mine done. No regrets. Just you and me. They weren't just hiding money. They were planning to vanish. I leaned back in my chair. Looked around the cafe. People were laughing. Typing. Drinking lattes. I just sat there, heart thudding. My wife wasn't having an affair. She was planning a full-blown financial jailbreak. And I was the prison. That night I said nothing. Watched her pour herself a glass of wine, curl up beside me, and talk about how stressful work had been. I nodded. Let her vent. Told her she deserved a break. Meanwhile, she was probably days away from faking burnout and disappearing into a time zone with no extradition. And I realized something. She didn't just want freedom. She wanted to disappear rich. With his help. And with money that wasn't even hers to begin with. I waited until she had a late client dinner. She left the apartment in heels and a black dress, kissed me on the cheek, and said she wouldn't be home before 11. I told her to enjoy it. The moment the elevator closed, I went to work. Pulled her laptop out again. Launched the wallet. This time, I wasn't just watching, I was copying. Backing up everything. Addresses, private keys, exported logs, even cached notes from within the cold wallet interface. Then I went deeper. She had stored some auto logins in her browser. Rookie mistake. One of them, Coinbase. It opened without even a two-factor prompt. I was inside. The dashboard showed two wallets. One held her main BTC stash, the one I already knew about. But the other? That one surprised me. It was filled with wrapped tokens, WBTC, USDT, even some obscure altcoins. Roughly $140,000 spread across DeFi tokens, all quietly moving through anonymous mixers over the last 4 months. And all of it had one consistent exit route. An off-ramp into a foreign exchange tied to, guess who? Mike 112. His real name showed up once, in an old smart contract approval record buried in the chain. It was subtle, but there, Michael Carpenter. Verified address. Singapore residency tag. They weren't just co-workers. They were partners. And the saddest part? She'd been playing this right in front of me. While I made her coffee, she sent him crypto. While I folded her laundry, she embedded notes into blockchains. While I held her at night, she rehearsed disappearing. That realization hit harder than I expected. Not just betrayal. It was rehearsal. I logged out, cleared the session, wiped traces. Then I opened my own secure wallet, one I'd barely touched since college. Created 3 new addresses. Random, clean, disconnected. Wrote the private keys down by hand. Then I just sat in the dark, staring at them. Like keys to a vault I hadn't asked for, but was now responsible for. I had a decision to make. I could confront her. Explode. Force a confession. Or I could stay silent and finish what she started. Only differently. Not to run. Not to hide, but to take. Everything. That night, when she got home, she smiled. Tired, a little tipsy. "I'm wiped," she said. "You okay?" I smiled back. "Yeah. Just a long day." She kissed me. Told me she loved me. Curled up beside me like always. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel anything. Not hurt. Not anger. Just readiness. Like a man about to walk onto a stage, already knowing all the lines. I had every key. Every passphrase. Every login. Every backup phrase scribbled from browser cache. Every 2FA token rerouted quietly to my own backup number. If she moved a single coin, I'd know. But I didn't touch the money yet. Not because I had doubts. Not because I wanted to give her a chance. I waited because I wanted them to finish. Let them feel safe. Let them get cocky. Let them think they pulled it off. The final blow always hits harder when the victory lap's already started. The next transaction came 3 days later. She said she was working from home, headphones and all afternoon. I sat 2 rooms away, watching the mempool shift. 0.3 BTC out, disguised as a liquidity test. Then a message buried in the transaction metadata. "Passport ready. He thinks I'm going to LA next week." There it was. She was going to disappear. Next week, she'd vanish to LA, probably never come back. And she figured I'd sit here, sipping coffee, while she cashed out our joint life behind my back. A few hours later, another transaction. Mike's address again. A message this time, too. "Stablecoin swap Monday. Board Tuesday. Wallet reset after." It was all lined up. They were done hiding. This was the cleanup stage. The erase everything and run stage. That night, she ordered Thai food. We sat at the kitchen island with soft music in the background, eating pad CEW like a normal couple. She asked if I'd taken a look at new flights for our postponed anniversary trip. I told her I'd been swamped at work. She smiled and said, "No rush. As long as it's with you." And I swear, in that moment, she almost looked like she meant it. But I already knew the truth. I had receipts, timestamps, ledger confirmations, IP geotags, even screen recordings of her activity. There was no version of this where she didn't know exactly what she was doing. I spent that weekend preparing my next steps. Not legal. Not revenge. Just accounting. I created a cold wallet. Triple-backed it with encrypted keys stored on 2 separate flash drives, plus a handwritten offline copy. I set up alerts on both her wallets. Any movement over 0.001 BTC, I'd know in seconds. But I didn't move anything. Not yet. Let them take the last step. Let her board the fake flight. Let him ping her with the all-clear emoji. Then it would all be mine. Sunday night, she looked peaceful. Curled up under a blanket, movie playing, wine half finished. I watched her, studied the curve of her smile, when a character on screen made a dumb joke. And I thought, this woman is ready to disappear from my life. Take the money, the history, the years, and walk away smiling. And yet here she was, cuddled into me like we were forever. She didn't realize the only one about to disappear was her. Not physically, but from the money, from the control, from the story. Tuesday morning, she left for her business trip. Hair straightened. Suitcase packed the night before. Blazer pressed and folded just right. She moved around the apartment like a woman fully in control. Not a single wasted movement. She kissed me at the door. "Text you when I land," she said. I smiled. "Safe flight." She rolled her suitcase to the elevator like nothing was wrong. like she wasn't disappearing. I closed the door quietly. Then I went straight to my desk. Her flight was real. Booked through a corporate portal, flying out of JFK to LAX. First class. Smooth. Unassuming. But it was a lie. Because I'd already traced the end wallet, the final address and the chain she and Mike had been building. And just hours before her departure, it received a lump sum, the entire remaining BTC, fully converted to USDT. All wrapped. All clean. All off my radar, unless I knew where to look. Which I did. She and Mike had finished the last transaction at 2:04 a.m. Now she was off to meet him. Probably in Singapore. Maybe Bali? Who knows? That was the beauty of blockchain. Geography didn't matter anymore. Money moves faster than planes. I didn't act. Not yet. I just watched. Watched her wallet sit at zero. Watched the master wallet go untouched. Watched the last embedded message on the chain timestamp 3 hours before takeoff. Next message when clear. Wait before reset. She was waiting until the plane was wheels up before nuking her old devices. That's how close I was. Seconds away from vanishing. From being ghosted, rewritten, deleted. But she made one mistake. She waited. That evening, I cooked myself dinner. Steak. Something simple. Real. I opened a beer, sat in front of the TV, muted the sound. And I stared at my burner phone, watching the alerts. Every movement from the chain triggered a ping. Every shift in the wallet balance. Every failed login. Every ping from her recovery attempt, logged, tracked, timestamped. I didn't move a coin. Not yet. I wasn't done watching. Let her think she's gone. Let her think he's waiting with drinks and open arms. Let her take a selfie at some rooftop bar in a country with no extradition treaty. Let her feel free. Because soon, when she finally opens that wallet and sees what's left, when Mike opens his and finds a ghost chain of empty shells, when they realize the big digital parachute isn't packed the way they thought, that's when I'll act. And not a moment before. The first text came that evening. Landed safe. Hotel is amazing. Can't wait to tell you about it, smiley face. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then replied, Glad you made it. Enjoy? That was all I sent. She didn't answer right away, probably unsure how to interpret my cold tone. But 20 minutes later, another message arrived. A photo of a cocktail near a rooftop pool. First drink. Miss you already. Cute. I imagined Mike taking that picture for her. I imagined him just off frame, maybe shirtless in the sun, smiling at his part in the escape. She was playing it well. No cracks. No confessions. Just sweetness. But to me, it all read like performance. Because I knew something she didn't. The money she thought was sitting safely on the other side of the planet was already under my control. The next morning she called. I debated letting it ring out. But curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. Her voice was light. Bubbly. She told me about the hotel spa, the gorgeous lobby, how the jet lag hadn't hit her yet. I played along. I asked how the meetings were. She stumbled, then said they hadn't started yet. Sloppy. She tried to mask it with a joke. Something about being too distracted by the view. I told her I hoped she got some rest. Then I hung up first. Her voice was sweet, but to me it sounded like static. Empty. Practiced. Hollow. Over the next 2 days, she kept texting. Little updates. Emojis. A photo of a breakfast tray. Another from the hotel gym. A few lines about missing my hugs. Each time I replied with something short. Civil, quiet. Just enough to keep the act alive. I wanted her to feel safe. Not because I cared, but because I needed her to step over the final line. To reset. To delete. To make it irreversible. Then it happened. Late Thursday night, the message came through the chain, hidden in another low-volume transaction from Mike's alternate wallet. Delete it all. She did too. No trace. There it was. They burned the evidence. Her laptop? Probably factory reset. Her cloud backups? Gone. Her connection to me? About to be severed. She thought she was done with this life. But I wasn't done with her. That night, I stood in the dark kitchen and looked out the window. The city lights flickered like nothing had changed. But everything had. They thought they'd escaped. They thought they'd taken it all. What they didn't know was that they'd only handed it to me. And tomorrow? Tomorrow I'd take it. All of it. Friday morning, I woke up before the sun, made coffee, showered, sat down at my desk. The laptop was already open, her old machine, still marked with a tiny sticker that said, "Property of Julia." Felt ironic now. I unlocked it. No hesitation. No trembling fingers. I'd been rehearsing this moment for weeks. I opened the wallet dashboard. The master chain still held her funds, now fully converted, wrapped, cleaned, neatly parked in a holding address. Everything was exactly where she thought it would be. Perfect. I launched the transfer tool I'd built. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. 3 destination wallets. All mine. All clean. One on a privacy coin mixer. One split into stable coins. One routed through a slow drip swapper that would move funds over 48 hours in random intervals. One click. And just like that, $994,830 started disappearing from her world. She was still asleep halfway across the planet when it happened. Probably curled up in hotel sheets, dreaming of beaches and fake names. I watched the confirmations roll in. One by one. Wallet A cleared. Wallet B underway. Wallet C scheduled. I leaned back in the chair. I expected to feel triumph, relief, maybe guilt, but all I felt was done. Not victorious, not proud, just finished. They'd spent months preparing their getaway, and I hijacked it with one quiet click. She texted me around noon. "You okay? Haven't heard from you today," I replied. "Busy at work." "You?" She wrote back. "Sunburnt. Hotel ran out of towels. Rough day, huh?" I didn't respond. Instead, I logged out of everything. Wiped the old laptop. Pulled the drive and cracked it in half with a vice clamp I'd kept in the basement since college. Then I poured myself another coffee and sat in silence. No celebration. No toast. Just stillness. That evening, things started to crack. 9:13 p.m., the first login attempt from her side failed. 9:15, Mike tried from Singapore twice. 9:20, panic mode. They started hammering recovery paths, pinging support bots, searching logs I'd already erased. I watched it all from a burner screen. Failed. 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 Then came the messages. "Hey, my wallet isn't working. You okay? Hey, something's wrong. I think I lost access. Can we talk? Please." I ignored them. The silence probably felt louder than a scream. Then, hours later, she finally wrote something that sounded like her, the her I married. "If this was you, please just say something." But I didn't. Because anything I said would have been too easy. Too clean. Too human. And she didn't deserve that. Saturday morning, my phone was vibrating like it owed someone money. Missed calls. One after another. Her name. Then, unknown. Then a new number I didn't recognize, probably Mike. I didn't answer. The messages came next. What the hell is happening? Did you take it? Where's the money? Then, one that stuck with me. You don't understand. I had no choice. Classic. She finally cracked. The cool, calculated, calm woman was gone. What remained was someone desperate, not for me, but for what I had. For what I'd taken. Midday, she called again. I watched the screen light up. She let it ring 10 times. I let it die in silence. Then she left a voicemail. Please, I don't know what you saw or what you think you know. But it wasn't like that. Okay? I was scared. It happened fast. I wanted to tell you I did. I wanted to come clean. But Mike, he said he had a plan. I thought it would be clean. Quiet. No one would get hurt. I replayed it once, just to hear the shift in her voice. That voice I used to love. Now, just static. That afternoon, I wiped my main phone. Swapped in the backup SIM. New number. New data profile. I logged out of every shared app. Disconnected every account tied to her email. Wiped all shared logins, revoked permissions. Changed passwords on everything. Then I opened my laptop and triggered the final lock on the cold wallets. Funds, secure. Untouchable. Untraceable. That night, I left the city. Checked into a short-term place upstate. 1 room. 1 window. No neighbors asking questions. No ghosts either. Sunday morning, I opened my burner once. Just to look. More messages. He's blaming me. Said I set him up. They're threatening legal action. I don't even know where you are. Just please. Talk to me. But I was done talking. She'd said enough when she started transferring pieces of our life to another man. She'd spoken clearly when she reset her devices and erased our trail. She'd had all the words in the world when she was building her escape. So now she could sit in silence. I turned the burner off and slid it into a drawer. Stepped outside with a mug of coffee. The air was cold. Crisp. For the first time in weeks, I actually noticed it. No messages. No numbers. No lies. Just air. I hadn't turned on the burner phone in 4 days. Didn't plan to. But something in me, not curiosity, not guilt, just instinct, said, check it once. So I did. 6 voicemails. 3 new numbers. Dozens of texts. Most were from her. But one caught my eye. Mike C. Urgent. I played it on speaker, sitting in the kitchen of the cabin I was renting. Coffee in one hand, no emotion in the other. You played us. I know it was you. She swore it was clean, that you wouldn't find it, that she covered her tracks. But no, you were watching the whole time, weren't you? Hope it was worth it. Because I swear, if I go down, I'm taking her with me. Calm voice. But underneath, rage and panic, clashing like metal. He was unraveling. He thought she betrayed him. She thought he had a plan. Neither knew the truth. They were both just bad actors in a play I had already rewritten. Later that day, she tried again. Block number. Left another voicemail. I didn't want it to be like this. I really didn't. You were good to me. Better than I ever deserved. But I was scared. I was in too deep. And Mike, he pushed, and I said yes, and it just kept going. I miss you. I miss our life. I miss who I was with you. I sat with that one for a while. Not because I believed her, but because, for a moment, I could hear the old her. The version that used to laugh with me in the kitchen, hum while brushing her teeth, fall asleep with a hand on my chest. But that version. She died the day the first coin left her secret wallet. By Monday, Mike had gone silent. Probably deleted everything. Maybe skipped the country. Or maybe he was sitting in a hotel room somewhere, trying to figure out how a man he never met had undone his whole operation. Kinda poetic. As for her, her last message came that night. I won't bother you again. I know you won't respond. I just hope someday you'll understand why I did it. And that was it. No more texts. No more calls. Just silence. I stepped outside, phone still in hand. The wind was sharp. Pine trees swayed. The air smelled like wood smoke and cold earth. For the first time in months, I realized there was no one left trying to outplay me. No more secrets. No more games. Just quiet. And honestly, it felt good. It's been 3 weeks. No texts. No calls. No numbers I didn't recognize lighting up my screen at 3 a.m. The burner phone stayed off. My real phone stayed clean. I'd moved again, this time to something permanent. Quiet neighborhood, nothing fancy. Just walls that didn't hold old memories. I worked. I slept. I read more. Cooked for myself. Didn't talk much. Didn't feel the need. I didn't think about her every day. But some days? Yeah, I did. Then, one Thursday afternoon, an email arrived. Not from her usual account. A new one, probably made that morning. No subject line. Just this. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know what I did. I just want to talk. One time. One conversation. You choose where. I'll be there. J. No emoji. No flattery. No desperation. Just a sentence that landed like a stone in still water. I read it once. Then again. Then closed the laptop and sat there in silence. I didn't know how I felt. Not angry. Not curious. Not hopeful either. I just didn't know. Maybe she wanted to apologize. Maybe she wanted closure. Maybe she missed the life we had, or the version of herself that existed in it. I stared out the window. The trees barely moved. The wind had gone still. And I thought, would I go? Would I sit across from her, hear whatever story she's built since it all burned down? Would I look her in the eye, knowing what I know now? I haven't decided. Not yet. And maybe that's why I'm telling this now. Because part of me feels like I need to say it, all of it, before that meeting happens. If it ever does. Before I decide if I'll walk into that cafe. Before I see her face again. Before I speak the first word. Or choose to stay silent forever.